Hello everyone, welcome to my first tutorial series. In this series, I'm going to be teaching you guys how to make a boss fight with multiple stages, each stage having different attacks. Before we get into today's video, make sure you subscribe to the channel and like the video so you don't miss out on any future content. Let's get right into it. In today's video, we're going to be creating the boss and the character, along with messing around with some animations. Let's get started. First, I'm going to go into my little boss fight arena and create the boss. I want the boss to be a red cube. An easy way to make a cube is to scroll all the way down in the property tab to the size and then just switch it to whatever size you want. Make sure to make all of these equal. I'm going to make a 6x6x6 cube. Now that we've got our boss, which I actually think I'm going to make a little bit larger. I'm going to make him a 9x9x9. That's a lot better. Okay, now that we have our boss, I'm going to make him red. Next, we need to give him a face. For his face, I'm going to make a surface GUI. Now that you've made your surface GUI, you can put an image label in here to make a face. Now, once you have your image label and you have it on the front, you're going to want to start by going to the size and setting the offset to 0, just so it's friendly to all devices. Then set the scale to 1 and 1 so it covers the entire face. Next, you need to insert an image. I'm going to insert this image, which is face number 1. Once you've inserted your face, you can set the background transparency to 1 to make the white invisible, and set the border pixel size to 0. Now we have our face. I'm just going to rename this boss face because we may change this when he does an attack. Next, I'm going to name him boss. I'm going to make sure he's anchored and locked so he does not fall when he's floating. Okay. Next, we need to make our starter character. I want the character to be a blue cube. I'm going to use the same strategy to make a blue cube, except this cube is going to be a lot smaller than the boss. I'm going to make this a 2x2x2 cube. Once I have made my cube, I can go and make him blue. And just like we did with the last boss, I can insert a surface GUI. I'm just going to duplicate this one and move it into here. And just change the face from that to this face. A nice happy face. I'm going to rename this player face. Now that we've got this, we need to make the starter character model. Start by naming this torso, so it will be marked as the player's torso. Next, you're going to want to go into behavior. You want to uncheck all these boxes except archivable. And go to the part section and set the root priority to 30 and check custom physical properties. Once you've done all of that, we can go into our next part. You're going to want to go into the starter player section right here and create a model. You need to name this starter character. Make sure you have the spelling correct, because if this is spelled wrong and the capitals are wrong, it will not work. Next, you need to place your torso inside starter character. The next step is to go onto the starter character model and in the properties tab, set the primary part to the torso. Next, we should insert a humanoid. Now, I do not want the player to be able to jump, so I'm going to go to jump settings and set the jump power to 0 inside the properties tab. I also want the player to be a lot faster than they normally are so they can dodge attacks easier, so I'm going to set their walk speed to 36. Now that we've created our starter character, let's go and create a spawn and try this in the game. Another common conception is how to make invisible spawns without this picture right here. An easy way to do that is to just go into the spawn and delete this decal. Once you've done that, set the transparency to 1, and I'm also going to turn off cast shadow. You can keep all these checked, except I would recommend checking locked and unchecking can collide, so that it doesn't look like they're standing on nothing. I'm going to rename this player spawn. You do not have to do this, it's just because I want to. And I'm going to put it inside my Bossfight arena model. I'm also going to make sure, I'm going to make sure all of these are checked. Good. Now let's try going into the game and see if our starter character worked. It seemed it did work, and we have our face on the front. And our boss's face is working as well. And if I press the space bar, I cannot jump. It seems all that we've done so far has worked. Next, we're going to get into some basic scripting. All I'm going to do is make it so he will hover up and down. This is relatively easy. I just have to make it so he moves up to a certain point and then moves down. To do this, we're going to start by inserting a script inside the boss. I'm going to name this script hover script. Now let's get to scripting it. We're going to start by writing while true do. This is a loop. This will run non-stop until we write the words break, which will make it stop until it is ran again by either a function or a command. Inside this loop, we are going to use vector 3 to move this up and then move it down at a very slow pace. Let's start by the moving up script. We're going to write like this. Repeat until. Next, we need to get the boss's current coordinates. I want him to hover up to here. So once we have our y coordinate, we can write this. Script.parent.position .y, because we're having him hover up on the y-axis, equals 14.5. And I have to make 2 equal signs because it's a parameter. Now I'm going to move him back down to his original position. Now what we're going to do here is increase his y value by +1. So the way we do this is we do script.parent.position equals vector3.new. Next, we're going to put this in. I'm just going to copy this statement right here to make it easier to type. Script.parent.position.x, because we're not changing that. Now we're going to copy this statement and replace the x with a y, and then write plus 0.1, because we're going to be increasing 0.1 to the y until the boss reaches 14.5 on the y-axis. And then we're going to put one last comma, paste it in again, and set this to z. Now one thing I'm going to change here is, although this should work, sometimes a script gets ahead of itself and it will go above 14.5 before this repeat will realize that it's there. So what we're going to do is, instead of just equaling 14.5, we're going to set it to greater than or equal to. So once it goes above, it can still stop the script, just in case. Okay. Now we're going to put in a wait timer. I'm just going to have it be very short. Wait 0.01. Next, we are going to copy the same statement and paste it back in. Except we're going to change a few things. We are going to set this to 12.5 because we want it to go back down. And instead of adding 0.1, we're going to subtract 0.1. Now this script should work. I'm going to add a short wait timer right here, just to make sure we don't get a script timeout, which happens when you run a loop too fast. And let's test it out in the game. So as we can see, it is hovering, except I made the speed that it's hovering at way too fast. That's why it seems it is shaking. So here's what I'm going to do to fix that. I'm going to set this, instead of 0.1 to 0.025. This is a shorter number that will still get us the same result, except it will cause it to hover slower, so it just won't appear to be spazzing out. Now if we go back into the game, it's a lot smoother with its hovering. Now one last thing I'm going to do is make it so this number is going to be a lot higher than 14.5. I'm going to set this number to, instead of 14.5, I think I'm going to set it to 17.5. Just to make it so it'll hover a bit higher, because at the moment it's going to be hovering very fast and it'll appear to be shaking. Now it will go up to 17.5, and once it reaches there, it will begin to go down. And it seems we've ran into a bug. So for some reason it appears that it's not going down. So I'm going to see why that may be. Yes. Right here, I said it needs to be greater than or equal to 12.5. Well, the reason it's going up and down is because it's greater than it, so it's still going down. So basically, we don't want it to keep going down once it hits 12.5. So the way we can fix that is by setting it to less than or equal to. Now, if we go into the game and try it out, it should hover correctly. So once it reaches 17.5, it should go down naturally. And the hover script has seemed to work. It seems everything we've created today works perfectly. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you really want to see more tutorials like this, please consider subscribing and liking the video so I know you guys liked what you saw. I will try to post these as fast as I can, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.